right? Keeping the mind and body together. Sometimes when your body tired, right? Your body tired, then your mind will not be working, right? So you have to prepare both the time. You have to prepare. You have to train the harmony between the mind and the body, because the mind. This is what we learn from the character of Santiago. He was struggling with the fish, left hand cramped, he was fatigued and tired. But still, his mind was instructing the fish. His mind was all the time giving commands to his body, right? So that's what, and yeah, this is what he achieved goal, and this helps somebody else to achieve the goals. And another important thing, he was connected within, right? He was connected with his own self, and the moment he was very well aware with his ability, with his capabilities, right? So as he was aware of his own capabilities, and that is what, there was no need of the motivation. He doesn't need any other motivation, right? Because he was very well connected within, right? So sometimes when he saw a bird, and he used the bird to connect within, right? And to feel the power in himself, right? So this is how to evolve endurance and patience. That's another story. Yes, physical endurance he bears. He fights with the fish for the 3 days and 2 nights regularly without the food, and there was very less water to drink. Even he does this, and finally he conquered the fish. How to practice the intensity of silence, loneliness, and isolation. That's another thing. What I believe that we can learn from the character of that. Even in Bhagavad Gita, this is said that self alone is the enemy of the self, self alone is the friend of the self. Self alone is the enemy of the self alone is the friend of the self. This is written in the Bhagavad Gita. What I mean to say that one has to train to become, to make his self alone his friend, right? This is what I think that in the modern scenario we are not doing that much, because self alone is the enemy of the self as well, right? This is up to you, either you are making yourself alone your friend or enemy, right? So how are you training yourself alone? That matters. And Santiago has the potential to teach us that how one can train his self alone. He was all alone in the world. There was nobody else, right? He was all alone and even motivating himself. He was talking loudly in the boat. He says that perhaps the other people may be thinking crazy, that Santiago is crazy. He said, no matter, let the people think I'm crazy, because as I am not crazy, I am aware that I'm not crazy. So what the people are thinking, I never bother, right? So that is what he make himself alone his friend, right? Self alone means he has the capability, he has the power to talk with his own hand. He talks with his tongue. He talks with his body as the part of his, as group members, as members of his army, right? So this way he feels a connection with his own body, right? The moment he eats something, he eats for the hand and said that I'm eating something for you to give you energy, right? So this way, yes, this is again the important lesson, to make a self one's friend. How to practice the intensity of silence, loneliness, and isolation to achieve goals, right? How to make one's loneliness one's a friend. How to, how to be connected within, right? So this is what I believe, that we have some lessons for this sort of learning as well. In my 26 years tenure here in IME, I have been experiencing the life of some great officers, lieutenant generals and major generals, and the difference in their personality. What I observe is actually this particular point. Even in the army, there have been one or two people I still remember that they were practicing their silence and making their loneliness their friend. They were talking in their isolation. They were then through the trees, through different atmosphere, through the daffodil, even in, yes, romantic poet Wordsworth has he believes that even the daffodil has a power to connect you with it, right? So daffodil has the power to connect you with it, and the moment you are connected with it, you have the power to connect with the other people. The person who is not connected with it, how can he make a sense of connection with the other people, right? So this would it be okay? Now, how to allow your hidden possibilities to unfold? That's another message which we have discussed already. How to be clear about one's own ideal of good life. This is another point here, right? What is good life? What is the ideal of good life for you? That one must be very clear about. Santiago, okay, who has already done a lot of things in his life, is an old man. Now it was advised that it's better to take rest. One of his relatives was telling to him that it's better to come to me and live in Havana and be comfortable, live in Havana in a cozy bed and listening radio, watching television, reading newspaper, having a cup of tea. He was having an opportunity to live a life, a comfortable life in Havana. But that was not the ideal of good life for Santiago. Because living a life dependency is a sort of syndrome that Santiago was thinking of, because he is a man of self-esteem. He cannot live a life of dependency, right? When the moment is dependent on somebody else, right? His ideal of good life means he's a fisherman. He was he's, he's born as a fisherman. He wanted to die as a fisherman, and his idea of good life was there in the deep sea, not in the comfortable, cozy bed of Havana, right? The city, right? The metropolitan city. So what do you mean that one should be very clear that what is his? Because center of pleasure, even as Sigmund Freud has talked about, this may vary from person to person. Sometimes this happens in this modern technological world, in this world of social media. We rather started imitating other people for the ideal of good life. Someone has posted on WhatsApp, someone has posted on Facebook, and someone is traveling and doing this or doing that. And this has been picked as the parameter of the good ideal of good life. And people started imitating the same style of life. That may be the ideal of good life for that person, but that may not be the ideal of good life for you. The first important thing is a clarity. That is your ideal of good life. Where do you enjoy the life? Right. So that's what Santiago was very clear with this idea. He refused to go to live a very comfortable life, refusing the fishing, because that was no more his ideal of good life. He cannot live that comfortable life there. So his ideal of good life is in the deep sea, struggling with the fish and achieving the goals, motivating the other people like Madolines to be a good fisherman in their life. Right. So this is what he did. And finally, another thing, how to win with humility and to lose with dignity. Santiago is a very balanced man. He never bothered about because never bothered about the consequences, right? He only believes in his karma, in his action, right? So when he was fighting with the giant fish, even he treats the fish like as his brother. He respects the fish and said the fish to that you have all the right to kill me. We are dependent on each other. This time, my survival depends on you. My respect depends on you. I have to kill you. I am here to kill you. And similarly, you have all the rights to kill me. And he says that I believe and I am very sure that you are too big, you are very strong, and you can make my body to pieces in a one blow. But I will not let you do that, because what? I will not let you remember your capabilities, right? To think of your capabilities. And this is what he says that okay, even he refuses to eat. He says that as the bait is in your mouth, you are hungry because you are not eating anything else. Similarly, I'm also not eating anything. I will not eat anything because you are not eating, right? He says, just come out and face, and you will realize that this sort of person you're facing today, right? So this is what I mean to say that. He, if he wins with humility. After conquering the fish, he never celebrated this, but he even feels sorry on the death of the fish. And very interesting thing he was thinking of that this fish will be served on the table of the rich man. He says that this fish, because it's marlin and it has a great market value. So this fish, after yes, this fish is going to be served on the table of the rich people, and that he already said that this is going to be served on the table of the people of the rich people, and people who are not worthy enough to taste this fish, creative works, right? So yes, sometimes this may happen that at the moment the fish is served, the people may be making that it was not tasty, it is this was this or that. Yeah, of course. So he says, lose with dignity, and this is what in your hand, and how to struggle with something bigger than yourself. Again, this is the idea that always struggle with something bigger than yourself, right? Because if this happened to you, you will win with humility and you will lose with dignity. You will maintain this humility and dignity if you struggle with something bigger than yourself. All right, so this is all we have to learn from the novel. What I believe that this way, this novel, Lord of the Flies, I'm sorry, it's The Ocean and the Sea, has the potential to make us learn about some leadership qualities. And I hope, yes. And the another thing, yes, we have few minutes. I suppose yes, few minutes. In these minutes, yes, let us move to the another story of our discussion of our talk today. And I have picked the another um, this book. This is Myth of Sisyphus, and this Myth of Sisyphus is by Albert Camus. And yes, we can learn from Albert Camus' Myth of Sisyphus the narratives of patience and persistence. Myth of Sisyphus has been observed many senses. It was considered as a pessimistic text. It was considered as dealing with the meaninglessness of life, because the story goes that myth of the Sisyphus, who was a cruel king, he was punished by the Lord, by the gods. He was punished to push a large rock, a boulder, up on a steep hill, only to find it rolling back on the top. So this happened. He was cursed to carry the boulder over his shoulders, and the moment he reached the top, the boulder slips away, slips down, and again he comes to the bottom hills and bring the boulder again back and moves and roll back it to the top hill. And the moment he reaches to the top, again it falls down. It rolls back, kneeling top. So this is what the way he was cursed. He was carrying the load and reaching the top. And the moment he reaches, it slips down, and again, and the whole night he, you know, he keeps on coming to the bottom hills, and he picked the same rock once again, and this way he was doing the activity. So, Albert Camus has compared the life of the modern man with that of the action of Sisyphus. The modern man's life is the life of Sisyphus. We are the modern Sisyphus. We are carrying the load, getting ready every day and going to the offices and coming back in the evening, and next day doing the same and coming back again. So this is going and coming back is the destiny of the modern humanity, modern human being. But yes, what even the text of Sisyphus has been observed for the pessimistic notes that it is more about dealing with the nothingness of the modern humanity, modern life. I'm not going to discuss the philosophical perspective of the book. What I believe, even Sisyphus has, even Albert Camus has discussed that when he observed the the paintings of Sisyphus minutely, he finds that Sisyphus is smiling. So Sisyphus is smiling. What do you mean that if this becomes a karma, I personally think that no matter he was a cruel king, that's another issue. But today we don't remember him as a cruel king, but rather we are talking here, and we rather remember Sisyphus for his story, for his patience and persistence, right? For his keeping the boulder on the top and then coming back and enjoying this. And perhaps he started enjoying this as his karma. As this becomes his karma, this keeping the boulder on the top of the hill, and then this becomes his karma, and he says that I enjoy my karma the best. Right. So Sisyphus is smiling while pushing the rock. He's embracing his situation without thinking of the past or the future, right? Yes, of course, he was a king earlier, and there is no meaning of carrying the boulder because he was very sure that in the night, in the evening, the time of the sunset, it will roll back again to the bottom hills. But that's what he was not thinking about the past. He was not thinking about the future. He was just enjoying the present moment. He was living in the present moment, and he started enjoying this task also. He started enjoying this karma. So what I mean to say here, and why I picked this story as a leadership quality, no matter what are you doing, what has become the situation, and the person has, there is always a possibility to enjoy that, right? Because there is no way out. If there is no way that I started to enjoy that. So he refused to surrender to gravity. As of course, Albert Camus said in the same book, the struggle itself is enough to fill man's heart. The struggle itself is enough. The story is the struggle, right? What the outcome is, that's not the matter. What has enough to fill man's heart, that is the struggle, right? Even the struggle, I mean to say the struggle, what he was doing, and he started this struggle only, right? Pushing the rock was his purpose. No matter how evil he was, he is still remembered for his labor towards his purpose. Without the rock or the earth, he won't have been a topic of anyone's discussions today. If today we discuss about Sisyphus, this is because of his labor towards his purpose, the hard work he did towards his purpose, right? Though it was meaningless, but even then that becomes his purpose as well, and he was doing all that. So yes, yeah, okay. We are all modern day Sisyphus. We must learn to embrace our purpose in life before the end of life embarrasses us, right? So this is again the idea. Sisyphus teaches us to never give up to circumstantial disappointments, accept failures the same way we accept our achievements. And one thing more I want to discuss here, what we learn from Sisyphus, that is embrace the karma, right? Whatever the karma becomes you. Be persistent, work hard, never give up, and be thankful for the journey because the pleasure is in journey, not in destination, right? This, as said by R.L. Stevenson, Chariveti, Chariveti, Turiya, Turiya Jafarita. This is said by Farida, and this is what I'm citing from Guru Granth Sahib. Turiya, Turiya Jafarita, Turiya, Turiya Jafarita. That what I mean to the pleasure is in journey, not in destination, right? So yes, life is always in journey, and enjoy this journey. And perhaps Sisyphus was enjoying that journey. He was happy that today I'm carrying the boulder. Okay, in the day I'm carrying the boulder over my head. And then of course I reached to the top, and there was an excitement in his life that okay, the boulder will roll back to the bottom hill, and again he'll go to pick the boulder once again. So what do you mean to say that? He make his life more interesting. He was enjoying that pleasure of the journey, right? So that's all for the talk. And yes, as I told you earlier, I have made the audience aware of the 4 challenges. I hope, okay, that's all. Thank you. Thank you very much. And yes, here is my email ID and the WhatsApp number also. If anyone is having a question or anything, you can please have my email ID and the WhatsApp number as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for this wonderful and enlightening session.
Hello. Yes. Uh,
Uh, Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Can we invite some questions?
Yeah, sure, ma'am. Welcome.
Ji, ji. Yes, if anybody.
Hello, I have a question.
Yeah, okay. You're welcome.
Good afternoon, sir. This is Dr.
Good,
Anusha
yeah.
Rathi from Government Degree College, Bukhar,
Okay.
and it was a very informative session today. Sir, I had presented two things in front of us. One was the character Sisyphus, and on the other hand, we have the character Santiago. Sisyphus was someone who was being cursed by the gods, and that is why he was someone who was asked to roll the boulder over the mountain. Whereas
Yeah.
Santiago is someone who can be considered as someone is being governed by the. Will it be right to say that he was someone who was being where the fate is something which is very responsible,
Sure.
governed by the fate? Hello, am I audible, sir?
Yeah, please. I missed the last part of your question, please. Can you please repeat?
Yeah. Actually, where we are talking about this Santiago, and Santiago is someone again. He is governed by his will or fate. They
Yeah.
are not submitting their own will. So, will it be right to say that this clairvoyance nature, which is a kind of a trait in their character, is something which is not allowing them to submit their will, and how this can be implemented for the today's generation?
Okay. Particularly in context of Sisyphus' story, what I have taken here as an idea for the motivation or idea
Yeah.
to learn for the leadership, that is what the persistence and patience. This doesn't that was okay if you'll go back to the myth of that story. It's a different story, and there is always a possibility of the interpretation that why should I accept if something is not in my favor, right? Of course, if we talk about that's not my sense of discussing this story. I have simply explored the idea that if the situations has turned up in a way, and that becomes the destiny of Sisyphus, right? That he has to carry the boulder, and there is no meaning in doing all that. There is no meaning, even you're carrying it's a meaningless existence, it's meaningless life, carrying the boulder, and again it will fall down, and he'll have to, roll back again to the top of the hill. It's a
Mm,
completely meaningless existence. But if it
exactly.
has become meaningless, if the God has made this was against the God, because the
Mm,
purpose of the gods of that time was simply to punish him, right?
mm,
To make his existence meaningless, and this was the severe punishment, isn't it?
mm,
It was better to kill of course, in a different sense, if he must
mm,
be given the capital punishment. If you think
mm,
about that, the capital punishment was not, in comparison to this punishment, this was severe punishment than the capital punishment, because he was holding back and not doing all that. And this
mm,
he has to do entire his life, right? But remember
exactly.
this, that he has started enjoying this. He has
Mm,
started enjoying the karma. And what I want to say that if karma has always something, something there is always in a karma to enjoy. If
mm,
it's karma, and karma is not meaningless. Karma
okay.
always, karma, whatever your karma becomes, if I am a sweeper and I'm sweeping something else, and that is my karma, and it means that karma is not meaningless. Karma can never be a meaningless. It's only that we are not able to see the meaning of the karma. We are not able to see the pleasure of the karma. And perhaps the Sisyphus was a cruel king, no matter how what he was. But of course, later on, doing all that, he started enjoying the karma. He started enjoying that pleasure of the karma. And what I want to say, the same idea that karma can never be without the pleasure. Karma always carries the sense of pleasure and sense of meaning. You have to simply look into it, find it out that what is the meaning of the karma, and try to connect with that meaning of the karma. And the moment you are connected with the meaning of the karma, it becomes pleasant, it becomes meaningful, it becomes pleasure. And this is what the pleasure Sisyphus was enjoying, I suppose. Yes,
Thank
yes,
you
please.
so much, sir. Thank you so much. And it was a very nice and interactive session. And you explained everything in a very beautiful manner.
Thank you, thank you.
Sir, respected sir, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, please.
It's a wonderful session, sir. Old Man in the Sea is a very symbolic, novella.
Yeah,
It's a short version of the novel. Whenever I read, it reminds me the story of Jesus Christ also.
yeah.
So, sir, how do we see in the context of the crucifixion of Jesus and the last part or last portion of
Mm,
Santiago's life? How
right.
could you resemble? What are your take on it, sir? I would
Yeah,
like to, your kind comments on. Thank you
yeah,
very much,
sure,
sir.
sure, sure. Santiago, yeah, sure. Thank you. Santiago, by the way, literature always talks through metaphors and images. And Hemingway, as we know that Hemingway's writings are based on the principles of iceberg, right? Iceberg principle. And Hemingway picked that idea, and he used metaphors in the end of the novel. What we observe that he used some metaphors. The way Santiago looks, the way he carries the shaft, that is what I mean to say, that they have to carry the shaft of the boat on his own shoulder, right? He was carrying and coming on the shore. This reminds us with the image of the Jesus Christ who was carrying the cross while moving to the cities. So means carrying the cross over his shoulder. So similarly, it's a similar image he has created here, and the purpose is simply to correlate Santiago's struggle with Jesus Christ. And what I mean to say here, um, uh, you know, Santiago and the Jesus Christ, in the end, what he says, even when Madeline comes to help him, he refuses to take help of Madeline because he believes this is my load. I have to carry this load. This is my load because Madeline was always there. He was keen to help Santiago. He came to the board and wanted to help him. He refuses to take Madeline's help this time. This time. In other times, perhaps he has taken the help, and this was the reason that Madeline was there to help him. But he was very stoic personality. He was carrying the same load himself, and he believes that this time this is my load. I am not going to share this load with anybody else, right? This is my load and I'll carry this. And that image looks like the image of Jesus Christ. And this is why some critics, interpreted this in context of Jesus Christ, right? So this is, yes, please. Yes. Hello, can you hear me? Hello, am I audible?
Yes, you are. Please go ahead.
Yes, that's what. That's the answer of the question asked. Is this hello? Again, I guess not audible. Hello.
Hello, sir.
Yes,
Good
can you hear
evening,
me?
sir.
Very good evening.
Yeah, it's me, Anja, sir. I'm from Kerala, and I just want to add an information regarding your success story, sir. It was really informative, and I just want to tell that beyond the leader, you just told us how to be a good person or how to lead the life. This is what I got from your class. Actually, in Kerala, there is another story like Sisyphus. There is a story like Narayanatha Brahman. So it's just an information that here also there is a man. There was a man who just rolled the rock from bottom to the top and from top to the bottom. And there is a temple also. So this is also not only in
Okay.
Greece. Here also it happened. There is a temple also here. So
Okay.
I just want to share this information to you all.
Right.
Uh,
Sure. Yeah, of
Thank
course.
you so
This
much.
way, myths are also correlated as an anatomy of criticism. Right. Means
No, sir,
we
I
share the
just told
common.
us.
Yeah. Yeah. Good.
Yeah, I just
Yeah.
told
And
us information here also it's there. like that. I just want to add the information also.
Yes.
Here also there is one person Narayanatha. So he is also considered to be the same.
Yeah, sure. Even the life of the Marji, which was, a Bollywood movie, was also based on the life of the same character.
Okay.
As the villagers was thinking that Marji is crazy, means what he's doing is meaningless, right? So that's again the similar way. Even he doesn't believe in that way, the way the things were interpreted in earlier. So there are some interesting dialogues in the movie also. Right?
Okay.
So
I didn't watch it.
yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for the
Thank,
nice
thank,
session.
thank you.
Hello.
Yes.
Hello, sir.
Ji.
Thank you very much, sir, for this wonderful session. My name is Dinesh Singh Pawar. I'm from Gopeshwar Chamoli.
Ji,
So,
Dinesh Pawar ji.
sir, I read this book, but I didn't get this like this as you taught. So, I have a question. Sir, as Santiago keeps
Dinesh,
the motivation.
okay. You're talking about the old man and the sea. All right.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Sir, as Santiago keeps the motivation for 84 days without finding any fish.
Okay.
And so I want to ask the question, so how can we be the same as without finding anything in our life, we just carry on.
No.
So
Right.
we be very disappointed, at the moment of life, we try to do anything. So we get a lot of hazards in life and we be disappointed.
Listen.
How can we be the same as he was?
Here is the point to notice.
Very good,
By
very
the
good.
way,
Play,
Santiago,
play.
though he was not
Okay.
getting anything else, but he was
One more
doing
example.
all the day, every day.
Yes, clean.
He was
Yes,
doing
very
all
good. Cleaned. Oh.
together